Welcome into another episode of Everything is Logistics, a podcast for the thinkers in freight. I'm your host, Blythe Milligan, and we are proudly sponsored by SPI Logistics. And we've got another great show for you live at Manifest, the future of supply chain and logistics. And we've got Reid Clements from Highway, who I've been trying to get on this show for a very long time. It's not without effort. We just kept missing each other, but now we're here.
We're
so
here.
Reid,
we made
welcome.
It. Thank you so much. Really happy to be here.
Absolutely. Now, what do you do for Highway? For those who've been living under a rock, what do you do for Highway, and then what does Highway do for other companies?
Yeah, I am on the sales team. I think my title is sales. I don't know if we have other titles, but sales.
I do enterprise
sales
account executive.
Enterprise account executive. I knew I had something formal, but sales. So I'm talking to brokerages day in, day out, sharing the gospel of Highway. And then to your other question, what is Highway? We are an identity and access management provider to help brokers and carriers connect via a seamless single sign-on experience. That's the formal. And then what we actually do is we help carriers onboard to brokerages via a single sign-on experience, kind of like when you press sign into Google to get to YouTube TV. We want to help carriers get to a brokerage experiences like that. And at the same time, eliminate fraud. So there's a big compliance perspective, there's a monitoring perspective to it, it's onboarding, it's a full spectrum of broker to carrier, carrier to broker relationship building.
Now, why was this solution needed?
Yeah. I think the core of Highway is fraud prevention, right? So the actual core is connection, but the reason we've gotten popular, I think, is your actual question, is fraud. As we all know, it's 2025 now. Fraud has been a problem for forever, but really in the past 5 years, post-pandemic freight, it's no one knows who they're working with. And so fraud has become a big problem. Fraud from the perspective of double brokering, which is a problem. Then you have the next level of problem, which is theft of load, stolen freight, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So fraud prevention is what we do. If you're to dive in, I'm ready to go deep
Let's
here.
go.
All right. So fraud became a big problem post-pandemic, really pandemic, post-pandemic, when freight got a big highlight on it. Like everyone in the entire world saw the word supply chain, and then supply chain got very popular. And with popularity, you have the good guys and the bad guys, the good actors, bad actors. The bad actors saw fraud as a golden egg. Like, why would I not try this? Because fraud lives in a environment where there's kind of three things are necessary: prospective gain, right? What can I get from this? And in freight, it's the actual freight. Let me steal this Anheuser-Busch load, or these. I think I saw a report eggs were stolen last week. So you have prospective gain. What is the actual freight? How much money can I make from it? Whether it's double broking the load and getting a small cut, or stealing the load and getting $100,000, $1 million worth of freight there. So you have prospective gain, you have anonymity. We've all lived in the broker lifestyle. We know how brokers work. At the end of the day, you're picking up a phone and talking to someone over the phone, you're emailing them. You're not shaking their hand in a coffee shop and saying, we're gonna do business together. More often than not, you post a load and you have 100 carriers calling you. So you have no idea who they are. So there's a big anonymity aspect to it. And the third would be prospective gain, anonymity, urgency. In freight, every single broker is doing 100 things at once for all of their customers, and the name of the game is speed. So is this valuable? You don't know me, so there's low risk, and with urgency comes error. Human error is happening too fast. So fraud became rampant. Highway came in to solve the problem.
Now, from what I understand, you guys connect into the VIN number, or VIN, is that how it works?
Yeah, there are a bunch of different ways. So the first is, who is this person? Are they the right? Do they belong here? So are you human? Are you where you're supposed to be? Do you have permission to be here from the carrier level? And then you go deeper and look at their MC, DOT, to say, do you have the authority? Do you have the insurance necessary to haul my freight? That kind of thing.
And this is to onboard them. So
yeah,
you're onboarding a carrier and you're finding
it's
out.
even just looking it up. Like before you onboard, is this the right person for me?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then you have the VIN level data, which we get from multiple avenues. But the COI, the insurance cert itself, will list the VINs. What we do that's proprietary is connect to the carrier's ELD. So if you have 10 trucks and you're on Samsara or Motive or what have you, ELD, we connect to their ELD account to say, hey, you do have 10 trucks, and here they are, and there's the VINs listed. Or you claim to have 10, but there's only one truck that's moved in the past 7 days. Like, where's the rest of the trucks? Why aren't they on your insurance policy? Why are you claiming 10 but you're lying? Or vice versa, why are you claiming 10 but have 80? What's going on here?
I saw one of y'all's demos at FreightWaves, and it was somebody, I guess one of these carriers was saying that they're going to cover like 12 different loads, and then you only had 8 trucks, and so that put it up I guess, higher on your dashboard. In Highway, if you have a Highway account, you have correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like a dashboard, and then in the dashboard, that priority item goes up to the top
Yeah,
to
so
warn you that this person might
exactly. Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
BSing.
it's a trigger warning for anyone to know, and that specific thing we call it an overbooked carrier alert. Like the guy has 8 trucks, he's booked 12 loads from 12 different brokerages. Each broker thinks you're booking 1 load with an 8 truck carrier, which is what you're supposed to do. Like you wouldn't book 12 loads with an 8 truck carrier yourself, but 12 different brokers have now booked with this 8 truck carrier, and he accepted all 12 loads. Since we have a network effect of serving these brokers, we can see that this 8 truck carrier has booked 12 loads that are going all across the country. If it was like Chattanooga to Atlanta, it's possible, right? But we're not going to trigger an alert because they're short hauls. You can do more than 1 load
true,
a day.
yeah. Huh.
But if it's more than X% or X number of miles, if it's within this same scheduled pickup delivery date, you're going to get an alert. He's overbooked his assets.
What's the craziest type of fraud you've seen so far?
In terms of like manipulative activity or like stolen freight or like how it slipped through?
Manipulative and the craziest like load that was stolen.
Yeah.
Or tried to be stolen.
I'm not going to go specific on the type of freight or the customer, but the higher the value of freight, the more eyes on it, the more the FBI gets involved, of course. The easiest thing I can think of is like precious metals or alcohol, stuff like that are, if you steal the load, it's easy to resell that. You take it across the border and people want to buy that kind of thing. So those are always the hot ticket fraud events. You should always be on red alert. The higher the value, the more red alert you should be on from that perspective. And then in terms of creativity to manipulate something, you have the VoIP phone numbers. That's a very easy indicator. If you're a truck driver, why do you have a VoIP instead of a cell phone, right? It's pretty simple. The fraudulent phone numbers themselves, instead of a VoIP, it's a phone number, but you spoof the phone number. You can get an app and change your phone number to recalling. Or the fraudulent emails, the biggest, you put a 0 instead of an O. Who's going to look at that in an email or an L instead of an I, lowercase? Yeah, it's stuff like that's wild. And then the more creative, like the more sophisticated, hacking the FMCSA, changing the FMCSA information, which is what everyone uses as a source of truth for so long. But now you think you're talking to the right person, but their FMCSA data was just hacked, and it's the fraudster who's impersonating the good guy screwed, the broker working with the good guy screwed. There's a mess.
And how does that work if like the FMCSA gets hacked? Do they alert everyone that they've been hacked, or probably not? Like, how does that?
I'm not going to speak ill of the government,
Yeah.
But they don't know half the time, right? Why would the FMCSA know that this person who's trying to log in and change a couple things
So
isn't
it's a
the right
login
person?
that they're getting.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
They're requesting a new code to change their password and get in, or something like that. Or I think Jordan, our founder, talked about this like a year ago, but there's some really sophisticated crime rings that downloaded the entire FMCSA database and did a query to search any misspelled email. Because at the end of the day, a carrier, or you and I, could misspell our own email when signing up with the government, and then that's your formal email. Or you sign up for an email, you misspelled it yourself, right? And then they'll find those queries of emails that were just 1 letter off or something, and then they'll make the correct email so that when you're looking them up, are you talking to the right person or the wrong person? The right person is actually the wrong email, but you don't think that. Why would you talk to the wrong email? So there's...
How are y'all, I guess I with all of these like new, sort of AI voice cloning type things, how are you guys prepared to help with that type of level of fraud? Because that was one of the things as a podcaster, I knew about sort of, my voice cloning for a long time, that I could go and I could get this done for 30 seconds for $10 a month.
Right.
But now many more people are going to have access to this technology all across the globe. What is the philosophy against combating that?
Yeah, there's a lot of avenues you can go down here, but I'm going to take a step up and talk about the life cycle of the load and what you can do to combat each part. So you have communications, you have sourcing, you have vetting, onboarding, monitoring, tracking, and then post-load delivery, gathering the correct information, the details on what happened there. So that's kind of the life cycle of the load. That's where Highway wants to live, is every piece of the life cycle of the load. So communications, first and foremost, before you even onboard or vet a carrier, you talk to them. They email you, they call you, vice versa. So we have an email plugin and a phone plugin. Email plugin lives on your Gmail, on your Outlook, on your front app to give you a quick indicator, red light, yellow light, green light, is this a good guy or a bad guy? Same for the phone system. When a carrier calls in, if you have the VoIP plug-in, it lives in the phone system. And just like a spam filter on all of our phones, red alert. This is not who you think it is. This is a fraudulent VoIP. This is a spoofed phone number. This phone number already has 9 fraud reports on their profile and the carrier it's associated with. It's just going to block the call. So communications is there. Sourcing, find every single carrier. We have their ELDs connected. So where are your trucks right now? It's a good indicator for where their trucks are, right? So help you find the right capacity. Are they passing or failing your custom risk assessment that you host in Highway? So as soon as you look up a carrier, green light, red light, use them, don't use them. Onboarding powered by the identity engine, right? Are you who you say you are? It's a single sign-on, multi-factor authentication process that has 80 different permutations of challenging the person on are you who you claim to be or not, right? And if you fail that, you're out. Identity theft.
I didn't think about it from that lens because I thought that you guys, I tried to simplify it in my head that you're
Right.
just connecting the carrier to the VIN number and then that's kind of it. And then it's up to the broker and the carrier.
It used to be that easy, right? It used to be that easy.
But
now
now
you
it's
have to
evolved, I guess.
You have to be a cybersecurity expert to figure out all this stuff. So you have all of that. We can go very deep with identity proofing, which is where you take your license out and scan it and scan the barcode. Then you put your face up and you do all the fun stuff. That's what the Department of Defense uses, right? It's identity proofing. Are you who you claim to be and do you match? So we can go as deep as that, or we can keep it pretty lightweight depending on what we know of the carrier. And then onboarding, track and trace, low level compliance. It's all part of Highway. Yeah.
What is, I guess, sort of the typical pushback that you might get from a customer who might want to, and then how do you answer that?
Our biggest, when I'm talking to a prospect, there's 2 reasons they wouldn't buy: sophistication and price. Price aside, we all know price is price. Do you bring value, and the value is there or not? Sophistication is the other one. We do a lot for you, and when a broker signs up for Highway, you're going to understand 20% of what we do, and you're not going to have any idea what 80% of it does. Then once you've been a customer for a year, you're going to understand 50% of it, and 50% you'll have no idea what's happening. That's on purpose. Like, you don't know what Google's doing when you press send into Google. You don't know what Wi-Fi is doing when you log into Wi-Fi. You don't have to know. You trust it, you work it. But I think sophistication of you're buying something you've never heard of, you've never seen of, you didn't know was necessary until you just lost 4 loads last week. That's typically the pushback.
And then I would imagine that for a lot of those people who push back on price, once they lose a few loads, then they come around.
It's a boomerang. Yeah. You may tell me no 6 months ago, and then the inbox is open. Respond, and they'll come back.
What is sort of, I guess, the percentage of maybe growth of fraud that has evolved since 2020?
Yeah.
It sounds like it's just changing every day.
I read CargoNet stuff because CargoNet's very popular and they post a lot of stats. I want to say like every year it's growing by like 200%, 300%, 400%. But the caveat there is it's not 300% since 2020, it's 300% over 2022, and then 500% over 2023, and then 800% over 2024. So it's not a little bit more each year, it's compounding exponentially every year.
And is that because of technology or just because maybe some regulations that we lack in the United States? Or
yeah, I mean,
maybe both?
Yes. Yeah. I think it all boils back to what we said first. Prospective gain, anonymity, urgency. It's a hotbed for stolen items. Like, why would prospective gain? You're not going to get caught often. And if you do get caught, then your MC is broken. Like, you get unauthorized, you're caught. You just go buy a $300 MC number and start again.
Is that really how easy it is?
Yeah. You and I can make an MC right now. The Everything is Logistics, LLC, trucking, right? We can build it. It's $300.
What?
Yeah.
I had no idea it was that easy to get an MC. I thought you had to get a CDL and then MC.
The barrier to entry is very low.
Which is
incredibly
maybe
low.
A good thing.
Yeah,
in the past,
there's pros and cons, right? To anything and everything, but yeah.
Any good customer stories that you can share with us, or you can leave the customer name out or case
Yeah,
studies?
I mean, we have public customer testimonies. If you go to highway.com, hit the articles or partners tab, whatever it is, and you can see a bunch of customers who want to publicly announce that they're partnered with Highway, and here's their stats of 90% fraud prevention or 100% fraud prevention, which is wonderful. They're all great stories. All of a sudden, we're on the spot. I know Mode just announced, C.H. Robinson did a big announcement, Fenice did one, Taylor Logistics has done one, but they're on the website.
Wow, yeah, so we'll make sure, we'll definitely link to it in the show notes so you guys can check it out if you've obviously been living under a rock and have not read any of this, because you guys are everywhere. It feels like you're also like integrated with everyone as well.
Yeah, integrations are necessary because you can have a wonderful product and that does everything for you, but if it's not integrated, then you still have the human error aspect, like did you actually do this or not? Whereas if it's integrated, it's a system-wide, company-wide initiative, like it's either in or it's out. It's fully integrated. You're not the one going in saying, yes, we use them or no, we don't. It's system-wide and it's integrated. So that's the beauty of a full software solution is it touches everything where you live.
What does the onboarding process look like?
For a carrier or for like a brokerage signing up today?
Oh, maybe both.
Yeah, so carrier's single sign-on. You press send on the highway. If you've been before, you go straight to how do I get paid by this broker and sign their BCA, and you're done.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's 20 seconds. If you've never been to highway, it's about a 4-minute process. You have to get verified, go through the full SSO, and then verify the information you already know about you, locations you run, insurance, payment details, W-9, all the onboarding stuff. So carrier onboarding can be 20 seconds. It can be 4 minutes. We onboard like 25,000 carriers a day. I think the median's 27 seconds. And that's for everybody, which is pretty, it blows my mind.
That is insane.
So that's carrier onboarding. And then as a new customer comes to highway, depends on what TMS they're on and on how long it's going to take. You have your it's a horrible word to say. You have your more modern TMS systems that you can integrate quickly with. Yeah,
Legacy
exactly.
versus
RevNova, Turbo,
cloud-based.
TIE, 3PL systems. You got guys like that where you can sign up for highway and within 7 days you're fully live, baked in, and you're on. Or you have the bigger brand names that have been around for forever, McLeod, Mercury Gate, those types that may take 30, 60 days to get integrated because it's a carrier process. But yeah.
If I'm a broker and I'm sitting down at my desk and I have my 4 screens that are open, where does highway sort of sit in my day to day? Is it taking up one of those screens and then I'm doing other things?
Yeah, so let's put a couple different hats on. You're a broker on the floor, you're a carrier rep, or you're a cradle to grave. Highway is absolutely one of those screens because part of highway is sourcing capacity. How do I find carriers to go from Milwaukee to Des Moines that are reefer carriers that have smart weight certifications, that have at least 3 trucks, but no more than 50, because I don't want any big fleets, I don't want any onesies, twosies, that have 100,000 in cargo coverage, insurance, create my filter. Here's every carrier who runs that lane, who meets your criteria. Are they passing, failing my rules? So there's a sourcing and vetting aspect to it that your reps are going to need. They're going to want them. You don't have to have them, but you're going to want that right there. Your compliance team ideally is only managing exceptions at that point. When you're a broker who really wants to use this carrier but he's failing your rules, you're going to bubble it up to your compliance team to say, hey, they're failing, but it's only for this, which is not fraud related, maybe it's performance related or safety scores. But can we use this carrier? And then the compliance guy is going to dig in and say, well, normally we wouldn't, but their ELD is connected. So I see their truck in Milwaukee right now, so override, let them in. So they're going to use it a few times a day. And then you have your track and trace team, which is going to have it open all the time. You have there's different hats and how often they're going to use it. I wouldn't say every person at every broker is going to have a highway login at all, but depending on how nuanced you want to get and how deep you want to go, they're going to have the highway UI pulled up, or they're going to be fully integrated with their TMS, and they're just going to log into their TMS and see it right there. You can go both ways. But.
So what happens if you discover a problem after you've already booked the carrier?
Yeah, that's a big problem, right? Yeah. So the beauty of highway being integrated is that we do webhook integrations or API integrations to TMS systems. If it's an API integration, it monitors carriers every 5 minutes, 3, 5, or 7 minutes being on the TMS. So on that schedule, you're going to get the alert, insurance changed, or CSA scores at a threshold, or fraud report, right? Fraud report. It goes from passing to failing, integrating your TMS like that. Or you have a webhook integration, which webhook is push and pull, and it's immediate. As soon as something happens, it's immediate. The response is in your TMS right there. Now, to your point, you already booked the load. Maybe the carrier's on the load actively. Red alert. Like everyone, all eyes on it. You're calling the carrier. What's going on? You're tracking the ELD. Where's the truck right now? There's not much.
I just put it 2 and 2 together. You kept saying like red alert, green alert, highway, the highway lights.
The
I
lights.
just put that together.
It's kind of funny,
It took me a minute. So.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It took me about a year. So you're like a year and 20 minutes faster than me.
Now you came from FreightWaves.
Yeah.
And what was the reason? What maybe is the biggest difference between FreightWaves and then making the transition over to Highway?
Yeah, so I was at FreightWaves for 4 years, and it was wonderful. I love my time there, and I love the team, and they put me in a position to be successful and get me in the right doors, around in front of the right people. Great mentors. You remember a lot of people there are great people. The biggest difference is that Sonar. I was on the Sonar team doing data for FreightWaves. Sonar is a data vendor selling you data. And there are solutions built off of the data that you can purchase as well. Highway is a solution, not a data vendor. So no broker comes to Highway to buy our data. You come to Highway to buy our solution and enforce that company-wide. That's the biggest difference, I would say, between like a FreightWaves sonar product versus Highway SaaS solution versus data provider.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all intelligence,
Yeah.
but it's one of those where Highway, from my understanding, is one of those that it sounds like it's become very pivotal to a broker's day or a carrier's day as well.
For sure. It's definitely, it's touched frequently, for sure.
So what's next for Highway? What do you guys got, cooking?
What am I allowed to say publicly? Yeah. There's three kind of big initiatives. I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about because I'm just a sales guy. Yeah.
We can save it for later.
Yeah, we can save it for later. There's three big ones. I think the one that I posted on LinkedIn about it in response. We're rolling out a carrier product that's free for carriers to vet brokers. Are you talking to the right person, or is this someone impersonating the broker? What's their days to pay, their credit, everything about the broker.
Sign up for Highway.
But for carriers. So the same Highway login, when a carrier logs into Highway, now they can see, here's all my current brokers I work with. Let me learn more about them, make sure I'm talking to the right person, or they're signing up to a new broker. Is this the right guy or not? So it's a free product for carriers to vet brokers.
That's super interesting, because then you're putting the power back in the carrier's hands
Exactly
as
right.
well.
Carriers get hammered by all angles all the time, so we're not going to charge for it. It's right there for you. They're already in the Highway network. Like, you're already here. Why would we charge you for doing something you're already doing? Just give them some more benefit. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, Reid, anything else that you feel is important to mention that we haven't already talked about?
I feel like we went all sorts of directions, which is great. I don't know, if you want to reach out to us, Reid at Highway, service at Highway, support at Highway, you can get to us a lot of ways. Go to our website, highway.com, and you can get a demo from there. There's a lot of information, but yeah.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. Sign up for Highway.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, really appreciate it.